Ever since lockdown has been announced post coronavirus, the real estate industry stakeholders are debating, they are having discussions, they are engaging the government to find some solutions. Track to Realty has a question. Have you really identified the problem? After having been part of many debates and discussions with these industry stakeholders, what I have realized is that they are still into that old groove of debating those issues which have been long pending: construction delays, liquidity crisis, uh, uh, absence of buyers in the market. They are, and the new thing has come as coronavirus, but they are still not looking at the core of the problem. See, the core of the problem is that the buyers are not ready to commit in a market where there is so much of economic uncertainty. Uh, there are certain reports by one report by Indian Chamber of Commerce finds that there would be 65% of defaults in housing loan. Another survey by CII, the 52% of the CEOs feel there would be job losses and salary cuts. This raises a fundamental question. Isn't it the time that the industry stakeholders should better look to consolidate the existing buyers and, for the time being, try to look for ways and means to support those buyers who have already bought a house? Nobody is talking about the existing buyers. Everybody is looking at industry problems and prospective buyers. This is where the problem is, and Track to Realty has gone into an online poll, a nationwide online poll, to find the mood of the existing buyers. More importantly, we wanted to know whether these buyers would be able to sustain the housing EMI after job losses or salary cut. What is their strategy? In this poll, the mood of the nation is very pessimistic. I can only give some highlights of the online poll here. 70% Indians fear job losses or salary cut. 52% of the Indians can't sustain housing beyond a year in case of job loss. When we asked whether they have the exit option, only 42% said they have some sort of exit option. A house is normally seen as a safety valve in the wake of any economic crisis. So we also asked whether the Indians find house as the best hedge in crisis. Surprisingly, 44% of the Indians find house to be more of a liability than a hedge. 54% of the Indians feel if the salary cut is 40% of the above, they can't sustain with the home EMI. Many of the developers have started offering best of deal in the market to tempt the buyers. So we asked whether this is the right time to buy. Nearly all, as many as 92%, said this is not the right time to buy a house. We even asked if there is a price cut, will that tempt them to buy a house? 80% of the Indians say a price cut will not tempt them to buy a house. We asked them whether government focuses on the home buyers, whether the Indians think government is thinking about the average home buyers, and 84% of the Indians said government focus is to support the builders and not the buyers. What is the demand of the Indians? 78% of the Indians demand that in the wake of job losses, the EMI should be deferred for a year without any additional interest burden. In case of the job salary cut, 72% of the Indians say that they demand EMI restructuring, loan restructuring, so that their EMI burden is lessened. This is the mood of the nation. This is what average Indians think who have bought a house or who were on the verge of committing to buy a house. Unfortunately, the focus of neither the developers nor the government is on the home buyers. We all understand that real estate industry needs some sort of stimulus. Supply side has to be supported, by various policy incentives. But what about the demand side? Unless you have in any given business, unless you have the buyers, your business cannot sustain for long, even if you are getting fiscal incentives. Now, this is something which nobody is talking about in this sector. In this opinion poll, we tried to find out the mood of the nation, and what we realized is that the Indians feel housing market is something to be avoided at this point of time, and it is now up to the government and the industry stakeholders to change the mood. And for that, they will need to change their focus towards the home buyers, including the existing home buyers, and not only deliberate upon the problems of the sector. These assessment will not be taken very sportingly by the large section of the developers, but these are the real issues. Unless the sector tackles these issues, the industry is going to face the worst ever crisis that the Indian real estate has ever seen, even worse than the 2008 global recession. These are the findings of Track to Realty online poll. Thank you.